Let's go!
What's up, y'all? This is Super Barber Samson with another video. Continuing on my series of breaking the barber code, barber code broken, whatever you want to call it. I really want to talk to you about how to break the code. So people keep asking me, like, what is there? So, like, the barber code, there's a stigma of how you should do things, right? So this is why a lot of old school barbers is still doing what they do. They have a certain way, the way they do things, the way they handle things, the way they handle haircuts, the way, I went to one barbershop, old school barbershop, and nobody used enhancements. And, like, if you use enhancements, like, they won't hire you. This is an old school black barbershop, African American barbershop. And I've had an old school black barbershop for years. But I consider myself part of the new school because back in 1988, I broke the stigma. So I broke how the barbershop had a stigma of the way they do things or how they do things. They did it in a way, and only in a certain way, where if you did it outside of that way, it was wrong. So when I had learned how to cut hair, I learned one way. I didn't learn 5 ways. I didn't learn 10 ways. I didn't learn 3 ways. I learned only one way. So doing it that way, I was stuck in a box because I only knew one way. And if that way didn't come out right, it was hard for me to fix the situation because I only knew one way. Well, in today's society, I used to only think that, now, like with social media, like before there was no social media, it was just word of mouth and flyers. If you had a lot of money, you could do a news campaign or commercials or whatever. But most people didn't. You never seen barbershop commercials back in the 80s and 90s. You know what I'm saying? And then you had sports clips and all these other franchise barbershops that started stepping up to the plate and started taking barbershops to a whole nother level. And for real, I think that's what kind of like broke the mold, because they figured out a better way to do the barbering business. And so the stigma of how a barber should cut, how he should do business has totally changed in the last, I would say, within the last 30 years. I've been in the business for over 30 years. So within the last 30 years, I've seen it drastically change, right? And so how did it change, Samson? I'm going to tell you how it changed. It changed financially, but back in the 80s, I was making $1,000 a week cutting hair. So I felt like I changed it because most of the barbers that I met, they weren't making that much. But of course, I was working longer hours. I was working like 13, 14, 15 hours a day. Me and my play brother, Matt, we was working from like 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. We was working long hours, and it paid off. We made a lot of money. And we thought at that moment that was the only way to make that kind of money, through cutting hair. And then as we started growing, nobody never told us about products. They didn't teach you that in barber school, but I had to learn about products, and then that broke the mold. And then there's a better way. They had more tools. You just had a shaver, and you had only a certain amount of guards. Guess what? They never had the half guard. They just had the one guard. There was no such thing as a half guard, right? Years ago, it was just the adjustables. They just only had a few to select. You had the fast feeds, and you had the Andes clippers, and you had to deal with it however which way. And whatever guard you had, that was it. You didn't have supply guys who come around and bring supplies to the shop, or there weren't a bunch of stores that had that. You had to go in Brooklyn. We had to go all the way to Fulton Street. I forgot the gentleman's name that had the shop. Old guy. I think it was Nat Cooper's. I think it was. I'm not sure. I'll look that up. But he had all of the stuff, and he was an old school barber, but he understood that there was a new way of doing things and things would change, right? So he would always tell me, hey, Samson, buy 2 or 3 of these just in case they break, because the teeth break, they don't make them too well. And so where most barbers chose not to change, I chose to change. I chose to break the code. I chose to take away the old stigma of what a barber can do and put on a new stigma, the way the new barbers do things, right? And so I don't have to get credit for it. I don't want credit for it, because guess what? There was probably 100 other barbers doing the same thing that I was doing at the same time. And I'm talking about back in the day, cutting Jay-Z hair, and cutting all these rappers' hair. I was doing that back in the 80s and the 90s, right? So I'm not excited to cut somebody brand new or a brand new celebrity or what. That's not in my bucket list. That bucket list is overflowing already, right? So now I'm on to a whole nother level. I'm trying to break another code on some other things that you'll probably be hearing about real soon. But so what I do is I simply, how can I make more money? How can I get more money in this barbering business? Do I need to continue to work 12 hours, 15 hours a day? No. So then there was something called services that you never charge for. Like it was unheard of for barbers to do a facial inside of a barbershop. You ask any old school barber, they'll tell you, I never did a facial. I'd put a hot towel, but most I would say 90% of the barbers, they never did facials. So I started doing facials, right? They never did deep washing and conditioning for the hair, for damaged hair, for damaged scalp treatment. They never did any of the above of those things, right? And I chose to break the mold. What am I saying to you? I'm not saying that you don't have to be an inventor to break the mold. All you have to do is dare to be different. All you have to do is dare to change what you already been doing to make more money. And so the sky's the limit to make as much money as you want to make in this barber business. You can make as much money as you want to make, like for real. Like you can make $100 a week, $500 a week. You can make $1 million a year if you want, right? But you just have to put yourself in the right place, in the right mindset, and be able to change so you can break the mold. You can definitely break the mold. And if you want to break the mold, I promise you, it's going to change your life. It's going to change your situation. It's going to change your love for it. So when you make a lot of money at something, you gain this certain love for it, a certain passion for it, right? It's not the way it used to be, right? So I could guarantee you, if somebody was making, I would say, instead of making $10 an hour, like years ago, we used to make like $4 or $5 an hour minimum wage in New York, and then it started going up $3.50 an hour. It was crazy, right? And so you think of how times change, and imagine if you was making $100 an hour at McDonald's. You would love McDonald's. You would wear the hat and the uniform every day. You would make sure it's steamed, pressed, clean, and be ready to greet people every day, right? So anybody can learn and could grow into the passion of what they're doing. So if you already like barbering, right, you can grow to have a passion for it where you can take your life to the next level. All right? It's your boy Super Barber. Holla at your boy. Hey, what's up, Will?
What's up, man? I was just checking to see if you was back up there yet.
Yeah. I'm rolling in now. I'm on Franz Road. I'm getting ready to turn on Franz Road by the shop.
Oh, okay, yeah, I pulled up. I ain't see your truck, but I ain't know if you was in something else or you was still
I'm right behind you. I'll be there in like 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, we still gonna do 11:30, or you want to go on and go in?
Nah, we can do 11. I mean, when I get there, you gonna see me in a second. You up as soon as I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
bro.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right. All right, so continuing the video, I thought I paused it, but I didn't. So I'm just letting you guys know that, you know, you could do whatever you want to do, right? You can change your whole life just becoming financially blessed if you make the right choices to break the code. So I'm going to tell you, become a code breaker. What every other barber is doing, dare to be different. I mean, there's some things that you need to continue to do that's just like law, like far as like keeping your license up, make sure you sanitize, make sure you sterilize, all those things that's a must do. You got to do it, right? But there's some other things that you can do and dare to be different. You can cut hair and choose to learn how to do designs, choose how to do different haircuts, learn how to do scissor work very well. There's so many things to dare to be different. You can do so many things. You can sell your own product. You can sell product. You could do facials. You can do hair treatments, scalp treatments, facial treatments. You could do so many things that you could do. You could do hair coloring. You could do so many different things that you know, I mean, like, the sky's the limit, all right? But this is your boy, Super Barber Samson. I'm signing off. About to head into the shop, do my thing. All right, let's get it. Let's go.